Welcome everybody to the fourth episode of Dude Check This Out. I am so hyped for this week. I feel like I got some juicy to talk about. Are you pretty much loaded up? What you got for us?
It's funny you mentioned that. I have a very golf heavy topics. I was thinking about this week. I feel like I had a low-key week, not too much terribly going on. So I feel like my job today is to be a brick wall for you so I can bounce off and keep it rolling,
Okay. Well, I'm all game for that. Honestly,
Yeah.
I kind of came in a little heavy with some
That's
some
good.
golf stuff too. So
Okay. Very golf-centric episode. So if you're coming into this first or second episode, never watched this before, we usually touch on golf a little bit. Sounds like it's going to be a lot today. So all you golfers.
yeah, let's be honest. Look, we're a couple golfer boys, and we're some hosts for some golf, so it's gonna happen. We're gonna talk about it. Like that's just reality.
That's true. I want to be the I want to get so good that I can just go out there and wear the most hideous outfits and no one can say shit to me. That's I just thought of that. That's my new goal.
What's a hideous outfit to you?
I think. Did you see what Jason Day was wearing at the Masters that one day?
I did not.
Some of it looked pretty fresh. Like he looked really fresh last week. He's wearing clothes from Malbon, which is like a brand that like can't smell their own farts. Like they're from Australia. They make really nice looking stuff, but it feels very pretentious. But he looks good. Like it's kind of baggier clothes. Like some of it, it's like very. I can't. I'm not into the fashion aesthetic enough to like adequately describe it, but it's very like it's very fashion forward, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, but I want to look just ridiculous. I want to wear like old school long socks with the diamond patterns on them. I think Patrick Harrington used to wear. There was some guy on tour that used to wear just ridiculous looking stuff. I want to. What's that?
Is it gonna match his bag?
Oh my! It would actually match that bag. Oh my god! Is that the one that you got at Goodwill or that garage sale?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
the bag and set.
Have you taken it out yet?
No, I need to regrip the clubs themselves because they're like pretty much to the point where they're starting to kind of like disintegrate and fall apart.
Yeah.
But the clubs are also like shorter than my normal clubs, so I haven't messed with it yet. But I kind of want to.
I'm surprised you haven't regripped them yet. I thought that would have been the first thing you did.
Well, I didn't know what I wanted to do with them. Like, I didn't know if I wanted to try to just like sell them and get rid of them first.
That's fair.
Or try to regrip them because they're Rawlings brand. And like, I grew up with Rawlings. I'm kind of thinking about regripping them like a Rawlings red, just like more of a bright red.
That would look good. Do some old school looking grips on them.
Yeah.
That could be pretty sick.
I'm going to have to do it. You're making me do it.
I think you should. I mean, I think if you're going to keep them and like plan to use them, you should figure out first if they're like really expensive collector's items like that putter is. I would maybe look at that first and then, and then get into it.
I like that idea. Cool. That's a good idea.
It's funny you mentioned that. Go ahead. Did you have something on topic?
Oh, no, you're good.
It's funny you mentioned that because I started watching. You ever watch Scratch? Their YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
Really good golf content, and one of the series they do is like I think it's called Range Busters or something, but they go and like find sets of like old school clubs, and I was like, that actually it like unlocked a new thing for me where I was like, I never really cared super much about golf clubs before, but I'm like, there's a lot of depth and knowledge to this, and I think I want to get and find an old set and use that as my walking set, so I'm not having to like transfer my clubs all the time. And just like have a fun like set I can go and do like hand me downs and do some swaps and just use it as kind of like a like people would do for a beater car, how they just like swapping stuff on it. Yeah. Like I think I just want to do that, but for an old golf set.
That's a good idea, honestly. Like
it'd be fun.
That I feel like you could easily come out with spending. I mean, you could even set like an easy little $200, $300 budget and get way more than you would expect. That actually is kind of what started that idea of like after watching that dude, because he's so knowledgeable about golf clubs and he'll just go in. He had one. It just like came out with one recently where if I'm sure that was the one you probably watched, and it's fascinating how like even old clubs can still be amazing golf clubs to use.
Yeah, and the biggest difference on them, that's why I want to get a little bit better, or just like start using them, and then because the sweet spots and the forgiveness on it, like that's the biggest thing that's changed from old clubs to new clubs is like like the margin for error for the average golfer
Right.
is so much better on new clubs. So I feel like if I use those and I just hack through them, it'll be like wearing a donut weight in the batter's box. And
Yeah.
then I go back to my other clubs and I'm like, I'm striping every shot now.
I
That
like
could
that
actually
idea.
help.
You're like
Yeah,
sandbagging yourself for when it's time.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's so
Yeah.
funny. I will say, if you're gonna do some wild shit with your clothes, uh, let me know. Like, let me know kind of the
Yeah.
vibe you're feeling, because I feel like we could try to get like Denton out or something and someone else and just look crazy.
Just look absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Well, isn't there did we do a tournament last year that we could, I mean, we could just do like find a tournament to do it and then just all dress up like absolute goofballs.
I'm
Because
so keen
it's
for it.
acceptable in that setting.
Yeah, like a four-man scramble situation like we did last
Yeah,
year.
that'd be fun.
I'm so game.
Yeah, just look absolutely ridiculous. That'd be fun.
That's so good. Oh my god.
Yeah, or we could
Okay.
all wear like skirts, like golf
Oh,
skirts. We
oh,
could
and it
go
has
that
to be golf?
direction.
It has to be golf?
You can wear one of the 5 you have ready, in the closet,
You don't have to, like, throw me out like that.
Just saying. The skirts can
Okay.
come out of the closet, so can you.
Yeah,
There it is.
there
There
it
it
is.
is. There was something in
Badooch.
there.
I,
Yeah.
uh, I did wanna update you on, the outing that we had with John's
Oh, yes.
family.
Yes, I've been waiting for this.
Yes, so, we kicked their ass.
Good.
Yep.
Makes
Well, I
sense.
wouldn't say we, like, kicked their ass. We we shot 8 over, which is not great. They shot
Between you, John, and your dad?
Yeah.
Okay,
We
yeah.
3 putted, like, 6 times.
Oof. That's
It was
tough.
we had so many birdie looks, but just something about the putting. John, poor John, he could not he was we made an order where it was like, John, because he's the least experienced golfer, then my dad, and then me.
Yeah.
And John wouldn't get it, like, halfway to the hole on almost every hole, and it's like, "Dude,
Oh.
your job is to fucking not hit it short." And he hit it short
Like,
every time.
that's such a good point, like, as first golfer, your job is to get it to the hole, to show the
Yeah,
whole line.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then my dad, I mean, rest in peace if you're listening to this, dad, but he can't putt for shit. And so
No.
it was all on me essentially for a lot of it. And I was pretty proud of myself. I was hitting some bombs off the driver, hitting some
Yeah.
good approach shots, pretty good chips, but it was all the putts, man. We just could not get it together. I think we had 1 birdie on the whole 18,
Damn.
but
Yeah.
we won.
Where'd
So,
you play?
LA nickel, which
Oh,
makes
yeah.
it feel even worse.
Yeah, I was like an 8 over there, like, it's not bad, but it feels different on that
It
course 'cause that course is very gettable in
Yeah, it
spots.
doesn't feel good, let me tell you that.
Yeah.
It
Man, I really
was,
wanna play that course again now, I kinda miss it.
coming to town, baby, come play with me.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Be fun.
You should. That'd be a
Yeah,
good time.
what did the other team hit? Any, like, big, crazy moments, crazy shots?
So, the thing that sucked is we couldn't really play much together at all just because it was so busy. We planned on trying to get the 6 of us all in one group, but we ended up having to pretty much, like, split up 3 and 3 the whole time,
Really?
which was unfortunate, but apparently they had, quite a few blow up holes at the end. I think when we finished the first 9, we were 3 over, and they were 5 over, I think, so they hadn't really blown up yet, but you know
Yeah.
that hole on the back 9, it's after, um, let's see, is it 14? You go past the driving range, and you're
Yep.
hitting it's not that one
Yes.
where we always it's the one after,
That one, it can be a problem.
where it's like 320 to 360 to the hole or something, but if you go over the trees, it's like 280.
Yeah, like, you want to pull driver on that one, but it's almost never the move.
No. And
Yeah.
so I was like, "Guys, don't hit a driver here," and they both shanked into the woods. And so it's like, "Okay, now I have to nut up." And so I hit a ball that just went too far and got lost. And so,
Ugh.
luckily, we had a ball my dad's actually bounced back into the back into the rough, and so we used that. I'm like, "Dude, you're gonna hit this 5 iron, and it's gonna go through the woods, it's never gonna be found again." And so he did, and that was the only one that we were able to take somehow,
Damn.
and it was lost. And then we, of course, shot 4 over that hole.
Damn. That's tough. Where'd you take
Yeah.
the drop on the, like, did you just hit off the tee again, or did you just hit, like, from the hazard line? on the
Well,
woods.
his drive, it went into the woods, but it hit a tree and
Oh, you're
bounced,
right. Yeah, that's right.
like, halfway between the fairway and the tee box, so
Damn.
we technically only got, like, 50 yards off the tee box. It
Yeah, that checks out.
was unfortunate.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, any other big, like, because there's always seems like everybody makes, like, one, like, really solid shot on the day. Anything from Mr. John Boy?
Um, from John, not much. He
Okay.
probably had, like, a couple good iron shots, but he's having a problem where he's coming in, like, really steep,
Yeah,
and it, like you'd have to look at his golf swing if you haven't it's strange, and I don't know what to do to fix it, but he
yeah.
can't do anything else than just, like, shank it out to the right.
I really want, kind of a tangent. Denton can't for reasons right now. He can't golf very much. But I really want to just like try to coach somebody's swing from absolutely nothing. So I think
Yeah.
John would be a fun experiment. Because there's a couple things I've been thinking like, okay, if I had to restart today, what are things that I would like try to feel and work on?
Mhm.
And I want to see if I can like get some progress with somebody on
Well, John's the one to do it on because it is,
that.
like it is the it is the epitome of, like, taking a baseball player and transition them into golf with
Yeah,
no one knowing what they're doing to, like, help him, like, I
yeah.
have some general idea, but you could make some good changes for him.
I think I could. Like there was a couple I feel like I've had these really small epiphanies for the last like 12 months and there's always been feels that kind of coincide with it. So I'll like write them down and then I'll
Yeah.
come back to it and of course it'll fall off and not work again. But there's like always a couple commonalities on it. And I think I finally figured out a big thing for me is almost every single time on my backswing, you'll see me like fall into my left foot. And so I just stopped doing that
Mm.
and I was striping the absolute shit out of the ball today. Like I was at the range before this, and I started doing that. And then I started like just not moving my hands, just focus on just like do not manipulate your hands, do not move them. And then the only other thing that matters is like releasing the wrist at impact. There's all these little things that I've been realizing the entire time, but they're just like being input into the wrong spot in the
Mm.
swing. And I had like the best range session I've had like 2 hours ago. It was crazy.
Good.
I hope it's not a flash in the pan, but like these things feel very fundamental. And I'm like, okay, I think something is being famous last words in golf. I think some things are being figured out, but
I figured something out on the range.
it does feel different.
No, that's good, like, having a moment where you recognize that is huge, like, we getting ready for that game, that weekend when we went out, I had gone to the range, like, Thursday and Friday, and we played Saturday, and Thursday was, like, the worst range session of my life. I was not able to connect with the ball hardly at all, like, it was just so piss poor, and finally, on Saturday that morning when I hit the range before we played, I realized, like, if I were to envision like a stake or like a pole through the top of my head, through my asshole to the ground, and
Yeah.
I'm like spinning on that, or like that's how at least I think of it in my mind. It keeps me centered, and it keeps my
Yes.
shoulders flat. But I wasn't thinking of that. Like I knew that I needed to do that, but I wasn't able to correlate seeing that in my mind to where I would just chunk everything or like shoot it off to the right. Like I couldn't connect. And
Yeah.
it completely changed my iron games where I was like, our green regulation was super high just because I was hitting the greens. Like, it was like I just
Yeah.
felt I was connecting with it so much better.
Yeah. 100%. And like it took me sometimes I'll film myself on the range and every single time I do, I'm like, I need to do this every single time because
Yeah.
how you think you look and how you actually look and feel are two very different things. And as
Mhm.
soon as you like videotape yourself, you're like, oh, this clearly looks wrong. But no, that's a really good visual too. Cause I think that also relates to my thing is like, if you just imagine yourself like kind of stuck in and you're just pivoting around a point,
Mhm.
it makes that like stability piece like that is what that equates to.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, it's just of course as soon as you have a bad range session, the next day golfing is going to be like the best ever. That's just how
Yeah,
it works.
it's just how it works. I will say, like, do you generally I think you've alluded to this a couple times, but I may be making this up. Do you, like, physically write down swing thoughts at the range when you're there, or is it
Yeah.
like you just try to take them with you?
No, I'll physically write the actually, it's kind of embarrassing, and I think it's, symptomatic of a larger issue, but I have, so these are my notes, my, like, swing thought notes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is over a long time, but yeah,
That's
it's
good, though.
extensive.
You can kinda see how
It
you progress.
Yeah, it's good in the sense that I have, like, a record of, like, okay, if something goes wrong, I can usually look back and see what's going on, but it's bad because there's constantly things that I'm changing and, like,
Yeah.
thinking and doing. That's the bad part of it, but I think if I look through all these again and equate it to, like, the 3 things I've been noticing, thematically, like, I think there's good correlation there, but
Good.
yes, I will physically write them down to answer your question.
Yeah. I think I need to start doing that. As long as I don't get to the point where it's, like, screwing me up, I
Yeah,
think that would be very helpful because I think a lot of times I just go in and I think, "Okay, if no matter what the range session is, like, as long as you're out here, you're gonna be better the next time you play," which there is some truth to that, but, like, I also don't always take away with me what I actually was doing that day to make sure that I was doing something right. And
yeah,
so, if I don't think about it when I'm playing, sure, I might be, like, connecting with the ball a little bit better, but I still may be doing that one thing that I wasn't doing right on the range, but I have nothing to pull it from because I don't remember. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah, 100%, and I think a key piece of that too is, the very top thing I have, which I've not moved ever, is when I'm actually playing, just focus on contact, like, don't worry about any of these swing
Yep.
thoughts or mechanics that have been changed, like, do not worry about that. It should be muscle memory if you've been doing it enough. So, the number one thing I have is just, like, on the course, just focus on contact. That's always going to be the best result possible. Um, because yeah, fields will change, everything else will change, but if I can just focus on getting that contact, it's usually going to work out. With that said, I did. So I played with Mr. T. Roy Lacroix last weekend. A lot of
Roy?
fun. I actually like the best part of my game. Interestingly, was the chipping. Like I looked up a video from Danny Maud, and it actually worked. And I practiced it over the week on the one of the ranges with the little chipping green, and that was the best part of the game. And that always feels really good when the chipping is just like in the short game is just
Yeah.
dialed, like all those little feel shots, all those little things. Like, oh, but I started out the first 3 holes. Uh, First of all, we got to the range early. Like we got to the course early because it was like 30 minutes away from me. We went to the range for a couple minutes. Our tee time was 1:45. The starter comes out at like 1:20 something, and he's like, are you Lacroix?" And we're like, "Yes." And he's like, "Yeah, I have you up right now. You guys need to get to the first tee box." And Troy's like, We had 1:45," and he goes, "Yeah, no, I got you right now. You guys need to get over there." And we're like, "Okay."
Uh,
So I mean, Troy
alright.
hadn't played for a while. He had an injury. Like I was like, "All right, let's fucking. I guess we'll just go." So it felt really rushed the first couple holes, and um, yeah, like one of the worst starts, first 3 holes I've ever had,
Mm,
which was just tough. I hate that. Didn't feel good. But then we found it, and I was like absolutely piecing the driver, and the short game was great. And the course was really nice. That was the other thing. It was like a nice course, so I wanted to do well
yeah.
because I paid money for it. Sometimes it's just not how it goes.
Yeah, that's right. That's funny though. That it's
Yeah.
like, I'm glad that you were able to finally, like, get to the point where you're striping it because there's nothing worse than, like, starting off so bad and
Oh my god.
it a lot of times it carries through the whole round.
Yeah. And it was funny because the guys that we got paired with, they were super cool. But they they played their own ball. Like Troy and I were just scrambling. They played their own ball, and they both hit, I think, like birdies and pars on the first 2 holes. And we're like,
Damn.
oh, these guys are like sticks. Like they're pretty good. And by the end of the by the end of the round, they were just like chunking, like thinning, like just absolutely returned back to normal.
Yeah.
It was, and then while I was like on the up, and I was like, this is very, very strange. Like people peak at different times.
That's good. You know, you're showing them who's boss. Like, that's
That's
the
just
thing with you
all
though.
it
It's
was.
like, it doesn't matter if you have a bad range session or like a bad start, you're gonna find it just because you're a good
Yeah.
golfer. Like you've had so much like you've been playing for so long that the fundamentals are ingrained. It's just like you're able to tweak things around on the spot, and that doesn't surprise me one bit that you just started cooking.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. It is weird. Like I think one of the reasons I really like golf is it's so mental and it's so like battling against yourself for a lot of it. And it's like, okay, well, I can be upset about that last shot. And I definitely do like let it get to me sometimes. It's like, okay, well, I could be upset about that, or I can just like let it go and just do better on the next one and just
Yeah.
like focus on doing better on the next one. So it's very mental, and I think that's one of the reasons I really like it. But yeah, like I know at some point it's gonna come back. At some point it'll go away. That's okay. I'm not gonna think that while I'm on the course, while I'm hitting it good. I'm just gonna like it's never gonna go away. It's always gonna be great.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You wanna know what is not gonna ever go away?
Like what?
The Drake beef.
Yeah, what give me the latest. Have there been any songs coming out since then?
No songs, but, Drake's house is currently being investigated by the police.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep. I don't have a ton of details on it, but I wanted to bring it up because I think it's hilarious. The investigators don't also know exactly what they're there for,
The
but
investigators.
investigators, but his house is, like, completely taped off right now.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I saw something on, was it Twitter or Instagram, where they're investigating him based on some allegation. I don't know what it is. Drake.
Okay, it says 8 days ago there was a shooting, a security guard wounded outside
That's
of
what it
his
was.
mansion.
That's what it was, yeah.
Oh man.
So
Oof. Why
crazy.
didn't I hear about I feel like I should have just by osmosis of how TikTok and all the algorithms work, I should have heard about that and I just didn't.
Who knows? Who knows? But
Yeah.
that's funny. I had to bring it up. Like, I didn't really have anything that was, like, much to that conversation. I just saw that, I was like, "Okay, we have to talk about it." Like, things are escalating, and now he's getting like, because they were talking. Kendrick was saying things that, like, Drake's a pedophile, and he was, dating all like, said all these terrible things and dating these young women and stuff like that. So, when I saw that, I was like, "Oh my god, is Drake gonna go down?"
Yeah, and his what one of his newer songs is like number 1 at the moment. And
Yeah.
somebody's like, is this like when oh shit, Hannibal Buress called out Bill Cosby? Like, is this the same kind of thing right now?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
maybe.
Who
Oh,
knows?
you know what's like ironic about this whole Drake situation is, uh, have you ever seen the? Oh, you're not on TikTok, are you? There's been a lot of like TikTok edits of like old NBA players that are kind of like aging out of the league, and they use a slowed down version of "Over My Dead Body" by Drake. And I didn't know that song was by him, and I was like, "Oh, what song is that? Like, it sounds really cool." So I looked it up, and I was like, "Damn it, it's by Drake." And
Damn it.
I was like, "Oh, this song's really good." So I've been like listening to it on repeat all week, and then for some reason, YouTube Music and Spotify, like I'll go back and forth between them. They're all throwing in Drake songs on my mix, and I'm like, "All right, I guess. All right,
Time to be a Drake fan.
yeah, I guess I like a few Drake songs." So I've always liked Hotline Bling just from the memes, but you
That is a
know,
good song. That is a good
that was like a
song.
2016 song.
That is so funny. Alright,
So
I
yeah,
ju
that
I
was
just
fun.
had to bring it up. I'm sorry.
No, I totally understand.
I did wanna, ask you what your opinion is of the new iPads that dropped, though.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Um, give me like a rundown. Do you remember what all came? Because they're yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So the new iPad Pro, they've made it, like, a shit ton thinner. That was the worst way to say that. It's lighter than, like, or smaller thinner than the, old iPod. Like I think it was
Seriously?
the Nano or something like that. It
Oh
is
my god!
it's 5.1 millimeters, thin, and that's
Holy
like their
crap!
13-inch model and everything. It seems insane. Obviously, it's like every single year, it's not that overall different, but the fact that it
Yeah,
is so thin and light is absolutely insane. You still have your Pro, right?
yeah, and I love that thing. And I guess that leads me to like my first thought is I've never once looked at my iPad Pro and been like, this is inadequate at the moment. Like it's always like since I've had it, and that thing was I think it's coming up on 4 years old now, something like that.
It's
Um,
crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's phenomenal. Like, I could see eventually when it dies, the new one's making sense, but like the new ones have an M4 chip in it, which I think now means they're more powerful
Mm,
internally
yep.
than a lot of the MacBooks out there. Is that a thing?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Which is nutty. But I've also never looked at it and been like, this iPad, you know what the problem with it? It's too thick.
It's too
It's too
thick.
thick of an iPad. Which is weird because for a while there, Apple was making their devices thicker. Like I think the MacBooks, some of them got a little bit thicker. Um, I think the phones at one point got a little bit thicker too because they were like reversing the trend on everything's super thin, everything super light, and instead just giving enough battery on it. But apparently with the new M4 chip, they don't need that much battery because they're super efficient. But um, I mean, it's cool. It's not for me at this moment. I think the annoying thing about it is uh, the accessories like are not backwards compatible with a lot
Mhm.
of them. Like the new floating magnetic keyboard, I don't think is backwards compatible. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't
Like
know
if
on
you have
that
the
one.
yeah, if you have the old one, I don't think the new one works because of the. I think it's actually because of the thickness. I could be wrong, but uh, yeah. I mean, if somebody's into iPads, I think the thing still holding it back is the OS. Like there's not a world right now where that could replace my MacBook for work.
Right. And
So
I
it's still a couch computer. It's a glorified couch computer for me most of the time,
yeah.
and it's perfectly great at that.
Yeah, no, exactly, like, that's the thing that I wanted to say is, like, what like, I obviously know what you use it for, but, like, at this point, like, what do you think most people use it for if they're not an artist or, you know, if they're not, like, drawing and using the features of, like, the pencil and stuff like that? Because the iPad can't really do that much, like, compared to a
Yeah.
MacBook. It just the OS is so limiting, like, why do you think why do you think they haven't taken that next step to be able to do so much more? Do you think they're too worried about it, like, overtaking the Mac line, and that's why they're
Ooh.
limiting it, or what do you think it is?
That's a good question. I think most people now use the iPad as like an on the go workstation, but a lot of jobs only require you to use like web based apps and also email as a big thing. Like I think of like my current job, I could do s- a good amount of it from an iPad if I really had to. Like if I was just like going mobile and I needed to like get into a Zoom call or get some emails off like on a mobile kind of experience. But it is not a long term solution for what I do. So I think that's the big thing is just like people that can do a version of their job on a portable system. But I would be shocked if anybody's using it day to day, like day in, day out. Um, man, I don't know. Like it because like you said, the software is the big limiting factor on it. The MacBooks are such good, like the MacBooks are too good at being a laptop.
Yeah.
I don't know. And they sell enough iPads to keep making them. So I don't even know if there is a merge point in the future. Like I think they both make enough money that it doesn't make sense to merge them.
Mm.
As I'm verbally processing that, I think that's the most likely most likely reason is they both make a lot of money and they both do slightly different things. And so it doesn't make sense to have one become the other.
Yeah, no, I mean, that definitely makes sense because it's like, okay, well, if they would ultimately want it to be kind of the same, oh, well, then they would just either make the MacBook a touchscreen or they would make
Yeah.
the iPad, you know, more powerful to be able to do other things like that. Because
Yeah.
we no, it was probably 2 weekends ago at this point. Maddie got, some new tattoos, and we
Oh,
were
nice.
going through the tattoo shop. They you know, all of them had iPads, and they were all drawing and sketching and, like, you know, creating these tattoos, which was so sick, and then I saw MKBHD's video of, like, the new releases and stuff like that, and he said a lot of the same things of, like, there's just not really a point it's not like an iPhone where you can upgrade it every single year and it's like that natural progression. They all kinda do the same thing. They all kinda do it well. You don't really need anything crazy, and it's like, if this isn't your first time into an Apple product, why not just buy last year's version or the year before or the one
Yeah.
you have, you know?
Yeah. I've come to the conclusion on a lot of Apple products lately. It's just like, why don't I just get the slightly older one? Like my Apple Watch, I got like the Series 7 because I
Mhm.
could get the stainless steel and the silver color that I wanted. I'm like, it does 98% of what the new ones do. And I think that's so true for the iPads. And like the iPad Air, I did see his video when I think it was like right after the release, some of his thoughts on it. Like the iPad Air is now heavier than the iPad Pro. And it's like, that's kind of weird. It's also
Yeah.
thicker than the iPad Pro. All right, it's kind of weird. I just don't know where the standard iPad fits in, like the standard iPad and the iPad Air. I don't know. But to your point, like I think those tattoo artists probably have like an actual computer that they do like payroll and shit on,
They
like
do. Yeah,
do
yeah.
actual point of sale stuff on. Um, so yeah, I think they're just too they're too useful in their own categories to merge them together. And for all of Apple's like sticking to their decisions, even if they don't make sense on a lot of things, I will say I agree with them on not having their MacBooks be touchscreen, because have you ever used a touchscreen laptop in the past? Like for any, just
Like
the amount of
school,
screen
maybe.
that you get whenever you're tapping on something, like the amount of wobble on it. I've never owned one, but anytime I've used the Best Buy displays, I'm like, this is awful. Like it
That
feels
sucks.
incorrect because it just like wobbles
Mm.
as you're touching it. I'm like, okay, I see their point.
Yeah, I get it too. Like, obviously, it's to the point where you don't expect Apple to really go out of their lane. You know, they'll stay in their lane and they'll do it damn well. But
And then they'll make the Vision Pro. Have there been any updates on that? I did not watch the event. I don't even know if they mentioned it at all, or if that was even like the point. It
I
sounded like
don't.
it was just iPads.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I didn't get a chance to watch the whole event either. So I'm not really sure. Have you ever considered getting one of those?
Fuck no. I was like, no.
They're kind of
No.
dumb. What are you talking about?
They're cool. I thought about there was a moment where I was like, man, I should really go just get like a Meta
Like an
Quest
Oculus? Yeah.
or Oculus. Meta Quest. Am I thinking the right thing?
Yeah, that's who owns it.
Is that what
It's
they're
Meta.
called though? Or are
I
they
think there's
still
like the
called Oculus?
Quest Pro. There's the Oculus. So
I
you're on the right page.
Okay. I was like, I feel like I was programmed in my brain. I don't know how it got there. Yeah, the Meta Oculus Quest Facebook Pro Instagram 3.8. I thought about getting one because like some of the VR golf apps looked fun, and some of the Beat Saber is like one of my favorite games. It's like Guitar Hero, but in VR. Love that game. There's a few other ones, like I think Super Hot is one, and there's one
Super
game
hot.
where you're like John Wick and you're shooting people in time with music. It's like Guitar Hero meets John Wick. Like that. That was a super fun game. But then I just never got it, and then the feeling went away, and I was like, it's probably good that I didn't buy that. In my theme of like just stop buying shit, that was probably a good one.
Yeah, that's a good point. Do you
Yeah.
feel like if you were to have one of those, would you only use it for like games and content, or do you think you would try to like implement it into like, work and stuff like that? Because you can. It can be, something that
Yeah.
plays with your computer.
Yeah, how does that work? Does it hook into your existing PC? Is it a standalone thing that you like sign in to all your apps on? Like, do you know if it connects at all to your computer?
I don't 100% know. I remember the one that I used to have. I had like one of the earlier Oculuses, and it was like physically plug it in, and
Yeah.
that's where you'd like play games through Steam and stuff like that. I think they're more standalone now, but I think you can still plug them into your PC.
Okay. Yeah, or I know there were versions like you said that were made to plug in, and like you can plug it in to use the graphics card of your computer and
Yeah.
have it run through that way. I think I don't think I would for work. I think that would get really fatiguing, especially for how long I'm at a desk all day. Like that seems like the biggest barrier to me. It's just like how fatiguing that weight is on your
Mhm.
face, and even just wearing like AirPods, I'm like I can't do this for more than an hour and a half
Yeah.
before I just have to take them out. I can't imagine what it's like having that thing on your face. Like I'm lucky that I don't get motion sickness too bad from VR headsets, but yeah, that'd be a non-go. The other part of that too is like I have a big screen, like I think it's a 38 inch, like a ultra wide that I use. And then I also use my MacBook monitor as my secondary display. And sometimes that feels like not overstimulating, but like sometimes hard to focus on things. Like
Mhm.
I will have to intentionally like minimize all the screens on my MacBook and just focus and like try to make my focus circle smaller. Cause like even that can sometimes be too much. So I can't imagine the benefit of the mask outweighing that.
I agree. Yeah, it definitely not be something you could sit with forever. Because like I
Yeah.
think MKBHD's video of the Apple Pro is like, uh, first off, it's like physically heavy on your head, and there's like the neck strain and everything, and then your eyes are also looking through a screen to see a screen. You know what I mean? Like there's delays and things for your eyes. So I think the idea of being able to use it for productivity would be really cool, and it definitely seems like there are some good elements for that, but you're right. Like, I could not do that for a 8-hour shift or, even half of a fucking 8-hour shift.
Yeah, I'm excited for the product that solves that. Like, I think that's cool, and I see the general vision for it, but I don't think it's in its current state would be something I would use more than, like you said, games, content, looking at stuff there. And then even that kind of has a little rub off period where it's like, okay, I just spent $300 on this thing. And for
Yeah.
what?
Right. Okay, well,
Yeah.
what if they were like glasses? Would that change?
Yeah, I think that would change my opinion. And like I would be like, okay, these are super cool.
So what price would you buy that at?
Glasses, I think if it was 300, that's I mean, they're gonna sell those things like crazy. Like, I think realistically,
They'd be
it'll
like
probably be like,
$1,000.
yeah, it'll be like phones were, or yeah, like in the mid maturity of phones where they started to, instead of including them like $200 on a plan, and then people coming back and complaining like, oh, the phone used to cost $200.
Yeah.
Like, no, it didn't. They didn't used to cost $200. You were just not looking at your bill.
You were
Okay.
naive, yeah.
You weren't looking at your bill. They were never $200. I think it'll be a similar situation where like they'll get out of that phase, and then it'll be, like you said, $1,000 probably for those lenses. If not, I mean, the first one's going to be much more expensive for sure.
Yeah. I just love to see those type of products and think of like where they might go.
Oh yeah, it's cool to have like new categories, because I mean we heard that all the time. It's like, oh, phones are so boring now. No, phones are too good. Phones are too good at what they do.
Yeah, it's hard to pick because they all do the same shit.
Yeah, like have you seen the new? You probably watched MKBHD's video on it too. The rabbit and the pin thing. I forget, humane.
Yeah,
I think is
those
what
are
it's called.
Fascinating.
They're interesting. They're interesting and fascinating. I agree. They're all AI power based. For people that haven't seen it, it's essentially like AI in a box is kind of the overall idea of it. One of them was a pin that you put on your shirt, and you could ask it things like you would Siri. You can, it's got a mini projector on it, so you put your hand out in front and you can see information displayed on it. But the idea is like most things are going to be AI controlled. So you're asking it to do things that you'd normally do on your phone just through AI. And both of them are horrendously bad in their current state, which doesn't surprise me.
Like the idea of it and the idea of where it could possibly go definitely seems dope. Like I know personally, I've started using like more integration apps, like just like Apple apps, like reminders or it's like, I know this sounds crazy, but like my calendar more and stuff like that. And it's like the idea of continuing to like to kind of fix like production or what's the word I'm looking for? Efficiency and stuff like that, and like staying on top of tasks outside of work and stuff like that has been very beneficial. And so having something like that, I would probably like, but there's no chance in hell I'm buying that right now because they suck so bad.
Yeah, the battery life was terrible. The response time was really slow, and I think a big part of those AI pieces, like even ChatGPT in the early days, I don't know if you messed with it when it was like really fresh last year and the year before, versus what it is now. Like a lot of things they've put the restrictions on it, and I think rightfully so. They put a lot of restrictions on like the kind of information it can access, so it can't just straight up like pull information from the New York Times because that's plagiarism. And like there's good reasons for a lot of these, but the side effect is it makes those AI very useless for a lot of situations. Like there's some work things I actually used to use it for. Like I'd have it draft emails based on responses, or like I'd have it review a call transcript and be like, give me a summary of this. And some of those would be very useful, but it's just generally gotten worse and worse over the past couple of months. So I think it'll be interesting to see like how AI turns the corner. I think that's going to fundamentally change a lot of things that we haven't even thought about yet. But in its current state, there's so much to figure out for like how they operate and like where they're getting the information from to make it remotely useful for everyday life and people just trying to do their own shit.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm very excited to see where it goes. It's just one of those things. It's like I can't remember which one. Maybe it was the pin that the one that goes on your shirt that like maybe had a subscription or something. Like
Yeah.
I really hope that these type of things start to sway away from prescription or subscriptions. I know they probably won't, but like that is almost a deciding factor on most things that I purchase that isn't like, you know, necessarily content like YouTube Premium or like Disney Plus or something like that. Like I'm not paying that shit. I'm not gonna pay it.
Red 2 Plus, X Videos Plus. Yeah, I get it. I really do. Oh, you don't pay for those? I
Not
was told I
verbally.
had to.
I played the 5th. No, but,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
if I'm gonna
100%.
have to pay $700 for a product and then also pay a monthly fee, like, fuck that. You're not getting my money.
Dude, even the Whoop that I had, I love that thing for its uses. I stopped wearing it because I'm like, I'm not it's useful. I feel like I got a lot of benefit out of it for the first 90 days. It's useful, but it's $30 a month.
Oh my god.
Yeah, if you're not on any promo, or you can buy the annual and it's like 280, and it's like you're not making it easy for anybody to make that decision. I mean, for a lot of people, you're straight up making it really easy, and they're just going to say no to it.
Yeah, yeah.
But even that, I was like, that feels like was a bridge too far. Like, just too many subscriptions. Just let me buy it one time.
Yeah. Especially if it's gonna be an expensive thing that you're buying.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't
Yep.
know. Well, man, that was all I had. Is there anything else that you wanted to bring up?
Oh, I was walking into Schnucks earlier, and there was this dude had a loogie, one of the nastiest ones I've ever heard, and
Oh.
and he just I don't know, he was old, which I think explains a lot of the mannerisms, but he just like let it all just like on the sidewalk, just went. I was like, holy hell! I had my AirPods in, noise canceling, and I was like, what is going on over there? It was one of the nastiest loogies I've seen in my life. And then he just walked off like nothing happened, like didn't even skip a step, just walked off.
Did he go sniff it?
No, I did, but he didn't.
Right.
It
Did
was
you?
one of the yeah, it was brutal. It was like I thought Mans was dying up in
Dude,
there.
that's nasty. Why are people so gross?
I don't know.
Ew.
Don't know, man. I did go. Bumble update. Christian's Bumble corner. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I did go on a date with a nice lady last
Oh.
Thursday.
Spill the tea, Hope.
Uh, uh, she was very nice. It was great conversation. It's a good time. It was at a wine bar, which that's kind of an annoying thing of living up here. Is like I don't know many places, and everybody's like, it's not like Columbia where you kind of know 2 or 3 spots, and everybody probably lives about the same distance away.
Yeah.
It's like you have to like find new places for every single new one, which is like
Every
I get
single
it,
new one.
I get it, but it's annoying, you know.
Right, right.
But yeah, it was a really nice wine bar. It was good. It was fine. Uh, People look different in person than their photos pretty frequently. And the
Yeah.
moment she walked in, I was like,
Oh.
oh,
Oh, no. Oh, no.
that's okay. The way I said that sounded mean, but like
Oh.
physical attraction is an important part
Yeah, it is.
of it. And when there's a difference between what's been presented and what happens, uh, it's shocking to the system. And this is why people will dog on me for using Snapchat, but I think going from dating apps to Snapchat is actually a good thing because then you can visually see the person
Yes.
in something that isn't a curated feed.
Yeah,
So
100%.
I will stand by that. I will stand by that.
As you should. That's really unfortunate. Okay, when you saw her and whatever feeling you felt, what was that like? Like, what was the next move when you realized, "I'm not really attracted to this person?"
It's funny you asked that because that happened to the second to last one that I went out with too. It's very exact same situation. It was a wine bar, and then I was like, "Oh, yep." First couple seconds, not feeling it.
Oh, no.
Um, I kind of like mentally settle in. I'm like, all right, I'm changing kind of the gears that are working on this one now. Like, I mean, it's still gonna be the same. I'm gonna be very nice. It's
Yeah,
still
of
the same
course, of course.
conversation. Going in with a curious mind, but it's also like, okay, so probably one glass of wine, maybe an appetizer, and then and then we're leaving. Like I'm not getting a second.
Because we know what happens when you keep getting too
No, it's not because of that. No, it's not
No,
because of that. All right. It's just I kind of just want to get home and go to bed at that point.
not
So
with her.
it's a one glass. Right, you are just a one glass kind of night. And then I felt like shit the next day because I haven't had wine in forever, and I think it did something to me, or maybe it was Actually, it was probably the fries that I had because they had like pulled pork on them and some other things.
Ooh,
It was good,
sounds gas.
but I felt awful the next day.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe that was, like, your stomach trying to tell you that, like, your brain's right.
Yeah, it's like, maybe don't do that again. I have been talking to a new lady. It is interesting since we've done this and since I've had to create content for this segment. I feel like these apps are recognizing me interacting with people more, and it's like boosting my algorithmic ranking or something. Because I'm getting like,
Really?
yeah, I'm like getting more matches, which is interesting, and like actually having more conversations. Um, so
Sick.
I'm curious about your opinion on this. This
Okay.
lady I'm talking to, she's very pretty. She is 6'2". I'm 6 foot.
I'm 6'2".
You're 6'2".
Mhm.
Okay. What if your lady? I don't know if she wants to be named. What if she was 6'4"?
I
What are
see,
your
I
thoughts on
don't
that?
really care that much about it. Like, that doesn't really bother me too much. I
Hmm.
don't know why, but I definitely can understand why people don't care for that.
Yeah.
I'd assume you're on the other end.
Um. Actually, I don't know. I did have a girlfriend taller than me in high school, or she was like just ever so slightly taller, so I could like
Mm.
kind of mentally trick myself into saying it's possible.
Oh, it's
Um.
her shoes.
uh. Yeah. I don't know. I really, if I'm being honest with myself, I don't know. I don't think it bothers me, but I also don't know until I like see them in person and like have
Mm.
interactions with them. I think it'll be one of those things. Like as soon as we meet up, I'll be like, yes, or just no. Like
Yeah.
something. I don't know.
What if,
But
like,
yeah.
what if she comes in and she has, like, the deepest fucking voice you've ever heard in your life? Like,
Okay, that
"What's up,
is actually
Christian?"
that is a. I'd be like, what's up, baby? I would like lower my voice the whole time.
"What's up, baby?"
Hey, babe, how's it going? How you doing? Oh my god, guys, there's a girl in the lobby. I would Yeah, I don't know what I would do. That is an interesting point too that I think is well overlooked is like voices can super change your perception of somebody.
Yes.
Um I've learned I'm like really into not certain types of voices, but like when I hear one that I like really like it. And I think it's just another quality of somebody that you don't know what it's going to be like if you're not using like Snapchat or another thing where you might like send a video. It's just another like unknown variable, and it is what it is whenever you meet them in person, and you're in. Like you can't lemon law it and be like, nope, I'm out.
Yeah,
Can't do that.
yeah. Interesting.
But
Well, I'm sorry the other one didn't work out. That sucks, but you're gonna have to keep us posted on this one.
yeah, yeah, it was fine. It was
A
good.
gentle giant.
I've been good at these like one date breakup texts where I'm like, hey, had a great time. Didn't feel a deeper connection. I think you're great, but blah blah blah. I'm getting pretty good at this.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. Repetition
Um,
is always nice.
yeah, it's so true. People don't talk about that enough. I will say with the 6'2" lady, she is a very good conversational partner.
Good.
Um, yeah.
They all should be.
And God, let me read this out here. So she asked me where I was in my first picture because it's kind of a goofy picture. And I explained, I was like, oh, I was in Portugal, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, where are you in the second picture at the hot store? And she said, LMAO smooth as hell, like just obviously like just gassing me up, being facetious about it. And one of my second responses to that was like, I said, I'm smooth like hemorrhoids. Thanks. And it's just when somebody can bounce off of that, that's when it's like, okay, all right,
Yeah,
all
you're
right.
jiving you're jiving at this point.
Yeah. If you can say some
Okay.
dumb shit and it slides, that's a good sign.
Okay, Christian's got the Riz. That's what's up.
With the right kind of lady, I have Riz. It's funny. There was I don't know what we're at the time, but whenever I was golfing with Troy this weekend at the ninth hole house, like the halfway house, there was a very attractive lady working, getting those tips.
Of course.
God bless them. And the two guys in the group that we were with, they both mentioned that they were married at like different points, but they were definitely like leaning in and
Oh
like, hey,
god.
what's your name, like, like going into it like that. And all I was doing with Troy in the cart was just like coming up with the worst like opposite like Riz scenarios of like, oh, your name's Megan, oh, I have my grandma's name is Megan. She's ugly as hell. Just like say shit like that. I didn't actually say that out loud, but I said it to Troy.
You should
I
have.
was like, I think I was just downloaded with the wrong software. Like I can, I can give you negative risk.
This man needs a BIOS update.
I truly do. Yeah.
That's so funny. I love the progression of this segment. So please keep us updated. I need to know for my own sanity.
Will do.
Well, thank you, Riz King, for fucking chilling with me tonight. It's been an absolute blast. Like I said, I feel like I say this every episode at this point, but we really appreciate all you guys listening. We're doing this for you. We're doing this for ourselves. We're really enjoying creating the content for this. So
we're heroes.
Thank you so much, and I'll let Christian wrap it up.
Yeah, no, we are heroes. Appreciate you listening. Appreciate you watching. Little update on the TikTok. Got banned again. We're trying to figure it out. I don't know what's going on. Those pesky TikToks,
Figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But appreciate you signing in, tuning in. If you were big into golf and tech, this is a good episode for you. So we'll try to vary it up next episode. But yeah, that's all I got.
All right. Have a good night, y'all.
Toodles.